We're going to start our march.
Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another Ask Engineer. We're broadcasting live from downtown Manhattan. It's me, Lady Ada, with me, Mr. Lady Ada. We're 105 days in.
Yeah.
We're going strong. We're starting to phases in New York. We're starting to reopen. It's slow but steady.
We'll have some updates about New York City, updates that's going on. You saw some of the footage that we've been publishing. We've been at the protests, and we're out there shouting, screaming. There's a lot of things that need to change. We hope our voice, although it's just one, but it is one of many, helps. We'll continue to do that. We'll talk about that later on in the show. And we'll also go over our shipping that we're doing, our new products that we have, some glimpses in the manufacturing, get a whole bunch of stuff. You just finished your city council meeting.
It's been jam. We had a 45 minutes of show and tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're doing it.
Everything happens all at once.
Ooh, all right. So let's start this show.
All right. On tonight's show, talk about show and tell. People around the world sharing their projects. Lady A will talk about that and more. Go over JP's workshop, some sneak previews. Makecode Minute. We're going to have the Python and Hardware newsletter towards the end of the show. Kathy goes over all the news in the world of Python and hardware. We have a bunch of time travel this week. Look around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers, social causes, important topics, and more we're going to go over. Some Made in New York City factory footage, some 3D printing. We have INPI brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. We got a new product this week that we're going to introduce into the world.
Heck yeah.
We have some new products. Were you doing a top secret this week?
I could probably grab something, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. There might be a top secret.
Yeah,
we'll
I know.
see.
I have one on my desk.
The top secret right now at this time is top secret.
It's top secret.
We're going to answer your questions, and we do that on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. And one important thing, and we'll talk about this later on in the show, is there's now 21,000 people in the Discord community.
Love it.
All that and more tonight on Ask an Engineer. Okay, so... a few things going on. First, let's talk about what happens when you go to the Adafruit site and you want to place an order. Well, good news. We are opening Safe and Smart, and we're able to ship your orders. We have an entire section on the site, adafruit.com/opensafely. And we wanted to make sure that, one, we publish exactly what we're doing as a team. Here's the PPE we have. Here's the protocols that we go through. Here's the ways we've managed to stay safe for the last 100+ days. And here's the ways that we've managed to take good care of each other. And here's the way we're going to continue to do that. So we're shipping orders. We're catching up. A lot of our team is back on site, even more so next week. I wanted to say thank you from everyone. This is a pre-COVID-19 photo because...
I love the labeling.
There's always that guy on Twitter who's like, you can just stand too close. This was before COVID.
Yeah.
And then, just other photos that we've been taking throughout time. I'm going to be referring back to photos because it's going to be a while before we're all together. This is from Ada Lovelace Day. And we thank you because your orders have helped sustain us over the course of the last 3 months.
That's right.
More so than ever, please place orders. We didn't have any layoffs, no cut hours, no furloughing. It was tough. It was painful, but we said,
everybody.
Let's invest in ourselves and let's get through to the other side. And it looks like we did. We know it's special and important to hold this together. We're going to keep doing it. But when you place an order, that's who you're helping. That's what you're doing. And we very much appreciate that. So that's been business note number 1.
Yes.
We're shipping orders. We're doing this.
That's right. And we're putting more and more in stock every day.
Yeah. So watch the in-stock when you sign up for something.
Yeah.
Or if you're not, if it just says in stock, it's in stock, it ships. Another thing is the PPE. That was really important to people. So all around the country, there's places that are now experiencing what it was like to be like New York.
Yeah.
And they're starting to notice that, hey, masks are important. Masks work.
And like New York is actually like, we're doing really good.
We are.
So far. We gotta be careful.
We are. We are very stubborn, determined people that saw a tragedy every day.
It was so bad.
And when this happens to you, you start to figure out ways to adapt. And one of the ways was, okay, we're all going to wear a mask. We're all going to wear gloves. We're all going to make sure we have a good sanitizing protocol.
Yeah.
And we did it, and now I feel like the rest of the country is probably going to have to do the same thing. Yeah. And luckily, like, we've kind of lived through this. So check out adafruit.com/PPE. We're now shipping PPE to the entire United States. There's 2 items that you have to contact us. It's for the thermal scanners that are a little expensive. We want to make sure someone isn't buying those and like putting them on eBay, so we just authorize those purchases.
But everything else
you can just purchase. There's you can't buy it all. You can't buy 100,000 masks from us, but you can buy enough to get going.
Yeah, and we'll be notifying people. We notified some people today, and we'll keep doing it. We want to make sure that we don't overwhelm our shipping team as well. But if you want, go pick some up right now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's kick it off. We're going to start off with show and tell.
That's right.
People around the world showing and sharing their projects. This is
socially distant, which we've been doing for 10 years.
Yeah, physically distant, but socially together.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
No, whatever. The thing about show and tell, we expanded it to an hour, and it really brought people together. I think when, like 3 months ago, it was really scary because it's like, what's going to happen? We had to change the show to do it from home.
Yeah.
We've always been on site. We were deemed an essential business, and so it was just not possible to do the show on site and masks and everything.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we'll do the show here, and then we'll go in at night in the factory, and we'll make face shields, and we'll make components for ventilators and for medical testing equipment and all that stuff. So what we decided to do, though, is we said, well, a lot of people are home. They need to come together. They need to have something to look forward to. So let's do the show and tell for a full hour. That's what we did. We're still doing it every week. We'll see how long we keep doing it for an hour, but for now it's been working out. It's a good format. So who was on the show this week?
Okay.
What'd they share?
Well, first up we had Kevin from DigiKey. He showed off a pool temperature controller that he made using a Zip Halo from Kitronic and a Clue. And he also gives an update on DigiKey. They're working remote when possible. They're working smart. They're cleaning stuff a lot. They have a good sanitation game going on. And they have a lot of Adafruit stuff in stock. So if you want to purchase stuff from DigiKey, have it shipped instantly from Thief River Falls. And they'll package in some resistors and capacitors and chips as well. Don't forget to go to DigiKey and order Adafruit stuff from there to say thanks for their support during these difficult times. Phil B came by with 2 Tandy computers, a TRS 100 and a Tandy 102, a TRS 102, and just talked about the history of these computers and how much he liked them. He showed them off. It was one of the last things he got from the thrift store before it got closed. Melissa showed off a DIY message board made out of panels extracted from like LED panel purses you can get on, I think, Amazon. So you can cut out the panels and then turn them into a long message sign. So she's going to make a scrolling display because we have display support for LED matrices and CircuitPython. So it'll be great. Brian built a relay junction box with a Clue and can turn on and off his lights remotely using the REPL. He also has a cool bearded dragon lizard and showed some photos of this adorable animal. JP is showing off his digital protest sign. He's going to be, I think, also showing that off tomorrow. I think last week he had it in a show, and he's probably going to show it off a little bit more tomorrow. And there'll be a guide tomorrow as well. So if you have a Pixel purse, you could turn it into a protest sign. And he'll show you how to do that with CircuitPython for easy displaying. He also showed off this Pathfinder robot from Apex Legends. It's a collab between him, Adafruit, and Sugru to make props using the PyPortal, which is pretty neat. So he has animations and sound playing to mimic this adorable robot who is your best pal. Noah and Pedro showed off their slot fruit machine. We'll have video to show about that. It's also an RGB matrix project. Ever since we added RGB matrix support in CircuitPython, I'm like, let's do all these projects we've been meaning to do. So they built a really cool 3D printed spring hinge and holder. Scott showed off the UFT bootloader for ESP32S2. Alex came by with a thermal reference update. This is for thermal cameras to calibrate them. He's updated, instead of a ceramic resistor, he's now using a PCB heater, the same kind of PCB heaters that are used in 3D printers. And Mark is taking a break from robots, and he's building a weather station. He got a 3D printer for his birthday, so he's 3D printing all sorts of enclosures for this project, which uses a feather and a solar panel.
All participants on the show and tell will eventually get a show and tell sticker. It looks like we're going to get close to that soon as we get more people on site.
So many stickers.
We of course prioritize orders for healthcare professionals and more. A lot of those, especially when folks on checkout, they can say this is a specific need for that.
Yeah.
We've gotten through most or all of those. Those have decreased over time. Good. And then now we're just trying to make sure we get regular orders out as fast as possible, and then we'll start to add things like stickers and more. And there's also at the right time and right place for things. Yeah. I hope there's progress in a lot of the things that need to change, and there's more conversations, because it's really difficult to do anything when people are getting murdered.
Yeah.
And you watch it. And
yeah.
So, we've been trying to do this live show. We've been trying to run a company. We've been trying to do all these things. We have our State of the Fruit that we do every week.
Yeah.
And one of the, the previous week we said, well, what are you doing for social justice? What are the things you're doing? Our team all came together. They have a voice. And, we have this, every week we have like a question that we ask. And then last week, one of the things I tossed out was like, what would you tell yourself 3 months ago?
Yeah.
And one of the things I thought was like, COVID's not going to be the worst thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the worst thing. And there's been so many terrible things that have been going on for hundreds of years. And it's not new. It's just very clear that we have to work together. So anyways, we'll be getting more and more of the things that you're used to with Ask an Engineer. But again, we're all just recovering and trying to figure out like ways forward, new ways forward.
We're not going to go back. We're going to go forward.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things too. Like, when will things go back to normal? Well, to hell with normal, because normal wasn't working well.
Some people didn't like it.
Normal wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so, what are the new ways forward, and what are the things that we could say like this is important to us. This is something every single day we need to do together. So, anyways, so we'll be continuing to do our shows. But I want to let you know there will always be components of Adafruit that gives amplification to important matters. We've always done that. We've always represented more than just a company. We're also a cause. But come by on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And, of course, Ask an Engineer right now. JP's workshop, you'll see that tomorrow. JP has a few things going on. He showed this project on parts of it on Show and Tell.
Yeah.
And then we have a Makecode minute. So let's do a little bit of a preview of this project that's going to be on tomorrow.
Yes.
And then on the other side, we'll talk about some Makecode stuff.
Great.
And Tuesday's Makecode Live with JP, which just happened yesterday. And then every single week on JP's workshop, we have a Makecode Minute. We're going to play that one. Take it away, JP.
So what I've got here, I've got a simple setup. I have created 3 sprites. One of them is this sort of princess character sprite. And that's going to be my player that I control. And then I have a couple of enemy ducks here, because ducks scare me. And there they are. So those are duck 1, duck 2, and then I have my sprite as the name of my sprite. I've set their positions, and then I've created a sprite list. And what you'll notice is over in the arrays section, we have the ability to set lists. And so these lists can be used for simplifying code later. So what I've got is a list that is an array of any sprite that has the kind enemies. This is like a tag or a piece of metadata. So those bad guy ducks, those are enemies. And the reason this comes into play is that I'm then using the extension called button combination. And you can get this by going to extensions and look for button combination. It's not going to appear here now because I already have it. Once you add button combination, controllers now allows you to do button combos. So you can check these out. I've done a session on these before, I believe. But what I've got set up right now is that there's a button combination of up, down, left, right. And whenever I do up, down, left, right, whatever's in here will happen, which is I'm going to shake the camera for a second. So it's going to feel like I've got like some superpowers happening for my character. And then I'm going to run through this little loop, which says for element of value, which is just a variable that's going to increment, of sprite list, which is each item in the sprite list, which if we recall is anything that was tagged with the word enemy. I'm going to destroy that object, which will be each of these sprites, with the fire effect for 500 milliseconds. So if we look at it in action, I think I did up, down, left, right, and boom, we have destroyed the enemy ducks. I'm sorry to be so violent, but it's special effects. The ducks are fine. So that is a way that you can use a sprite list array with a button combo in order to use a power-up inside of a Makecode arcade game and get rid of a whole bunch of bad guys at once. This is a lot of power, so use it responsibly. And that is your Makecode Minute.
Okay, that was preview of, well, what Makecode was last week, and then a little bit of a preview, sort of the type of things you can expect every single week on JP Show for Makecode Minute.
Builds.
All right, towards the end of the show, Katney's going to do the Python on Hardware newsletter audio edition.
Yes.
That is, we've been so busy with everything that we said, hey team, can we come together and figure out a way to keep doing the newsletters, keep doing all the stuff. So Anne collects all the stuff on the newsletter. Katney does the video version.
That's such a teamwork.
And that's when we get a chance to see and hear all the things that are going on Python and hardware, because I used to help write a lot of it, but now I can't because we got to, keep this thing going. So that is our happy time.
Yes.
So we'll be able to show that. So hang out towards the end of the show. We'll do that right after some questions and some new products. Okay. Time travel. Let's go on. So this week, there's things that we do every June, and we've been, every June we make sure we celebrate the gay community. We've always been a publisher, so we have every month we have an editorial calendar. So this month is Pride. This month is Immigrant History Month. There was some important big things that happened in the Supreme Court. And we were at, I'll just go to this. So we went to Stonewall, I think it was Tuesday night, or Monday night? Maybe it was Monday night. And giant gathering, and folks were there because on Friday of last week, you could be gay and get married, but fired from your job in half the country on Monday.
Yeah.
And that has gone away now. Mm-hmm. And so, big step forward. There's lots of steps back, but once in a while you get a step forward. And that was Monday. So you'll notice we adapt to the times. This is the progress flag. One of the things that we got in the mail. This is in our company right now. And
I like this design. It's
cool.
There's
more rainbow, more being more inclusive even with these things. So you'll notice that that's going on right now. And New York normally has the Gay Pride Parade. That's going to change this year because of COVID. There's a virtual one coming up. But that's some of the activities, and you'll see publicly we make
like rainbow. It's the Pride
part of the community. And congratulations to the people who've been working on this for a long time. There's lots of lawyers. It takes a long time. The plaintiff passed away before the decision. That's the way this happens. There's a lot to be done. And speaking of, As you know, on Adafruit, there is a call to action on our site
Yes.
for Black Lives Matter.
And we update it all the time.
This is important. If you go to adafruit.com, it is in the banner. You can see it in rotation. You can see it as the call to action. You can see it on our blog. This is the culmination of the team coming together over the course of weeks. After George Floyd was murdered, we said we have to do something. And so this is what we came up with. You'll see a lot of voices on our blog. There's a Black Lives category. There's a lot of content that the team is getting out there. Our job is to help amplify, help bring people together. Even in our own neighborhood, there's constant reminders. And you're watching this from around the country. Maybe you're like, oh, when is this going to go away? This isn't going to go away. And if this is your first time in social justice, welcome aboard.
Yay.
Start to take an inventory of the things in the past maybe you didn't do, and some of the things you can do now. But in our neighborhood, as we walk to the office, so Breonna Taylor, we're keeping track of like how many days of COVID. Well, it's been 100+ days, and the officers who murdered her are not arrested yet. There's press conferences today in Atlanta. A cop murdered someone, and they're moving faster. But we're 100+ days. Louisville, Kentucky, they have to do something.
Yeah.
And now it's an investigation and more. So I encourage you to look at what our team put together. We are
There's concrete actions.
we're a small group of people.
Yeah.
But we hope this inspires you to take action, but not just once, not just a hashtag, not just changing an icon, but do something significant and then do it over and over and over and over again, and then do it some more. And do it again, and then help other people, because this is one of the most important things that we'll all be asked in this generation. Like I said, COVID wasn't the problem. COVID is just yet another side effect of institutional systemic racism that's in our country. And like,
who's the most affected?
And so this is something that we're people who. The Adafruit people are like, we can do something. We are the change agents.
Yeah.
So please take a look at it. And I also want to say thank you to the team who got their voice out there, who went into the community, who said, oh, I'm going to help you with a project. Oh, please send us things you're doing. So the community, they are making protest signs. This is not one of ours. This is one that someone made. And they tweeted. There's people who sent us emails and said, I was scared to express myself, but I knew on the Adafruit Discord, or I knew in the Adafruit community, I can share not only things that were important to me, the voice that I had, but also help others. There's local groups that are doing things in their community. There's protests. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things, but they just didn't have the place, and some of their workplaces are, not quite there yet, but they're trying. And the things that was really helpful to hear is, hey, Adafruit, thanks for sharing what your team came up with. I shared that with my company, and they said they're going to do some things. Speaking of, one of the things that our team said is, hey, we should have Juneteenth as a recognized event, a holiday. And this is a celebration of enslaved people being free. That is the celebration. It was 155 years ago. Sometimes it's called Black 4th of July, it's Freedom Day. There's there's a lot of ways to describe it, but you'll hear this a lot in the news. New York State, as of today, is recognizing it as a state holiday for state employees.
Just in time.
It's going to be it's going to be signed into law, I think, now, and then it hits next year.
Okay.
But this is a company holiday, and it's days where you can support Black businesses. It's days where you can read about this holiday, Juneteenth. 155 years ago, people that were enslaved were told finally, okay, you're free.
That's not that long ago.
It wasn't that long
It's
ago.
only 5 generations.
And so take a look at our website on Friday. We'll have a lot of stories. One of the things that was there's overlap in a collision course on things sometimes. So today, LeVar Burton was tweeting about CBS is doing a Star Trek series of free things that people can watch.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek did about racism.
All science fiction is about racism. I mean, like, really. There's fewer examples that aren't than they are.
And so, there's a couple of really brilliant episodes from DS9, particularly Ben Sisko, my favorite captain. So they have a bunch of streaming episodes. But, this week also is 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma had a massacre. Yeah. And it's not People don't know about. It's not taught in history books. But when Watchmen came out, the new series on HBO, the whole theme, the whole idea was this thing that happened in Tulsa. And I remember reading the reviews about Watchmen, and people said, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that really happened. I never heard about it." There's people who live in Tulsa. They didn't know about it.
Which is just so powerful. And it's like how can TV and movies and pop culture educate people?
So that's this power of this medium. So on Friday you'll see some of these things, and I wish our current politics weren't the way they were, because this ain't the time to go to Tulsa. It's not the time to bring a bunch of people together because they're going to get sick, and also there's a time and place for everything. So anyways, please check out all the things that we're doing. It's important, and it's not going away on Adafruit. So
and if you want some good reading material, our list also has books that you can pick up. I think we also have a list of Black-owned bookstores.
Yeah.
Bookstores are suffering right now. A lot of them are not open, or they're only doing curbside pickup. So it's more important than ever to spend the extra couple minutes and not pick up something from Amazon, and instead purchase books from your local bookstores.
And there's things like, we'll get into it when we get to new products later. So we've been doing work with Black Girls Code for years. So this quarter, once again, so this is not a new effort from us. This is an effort that we've been doing.
Yeah, brought it back.
We finally have stuff in stock. So there's things that companies and people have done in the past. Support those. There's things that people are doing now, support those. And then there's things that you can start to look at and say, what can I do going forward that I'm going to do all the time that makes a big difference?
That's
so anyways, please check that out. Okay. Other things that are going on in the news. This is a big one for us, but I wanted to get to the important things first, because this is talking about us, so this is like a little weird. But
WB.
Yeah, so Adafruit right now is officially a minority woman-owned business enterprise. We tried a bunch of times to get the certification, but every single time there was another amount of paperwork. There was another thing. Oh, don't you have this? Don't you have this? Don't you have this? And we tried and tried and tried. We'd send off the paperwork, wouldn't hear anything. We'd get busy. It would go on and on and on forever. But we finally got it. So basically this means that for sure, in every way possible that can be checked.
And really, they basically took my blood.
Yeah, and so it's an important thing, because it means that there is at least one, for sure, woman-owned electronics company that's certified in New York City. It might be one of the only ones in the world, but that's something that we're working on. But we have the certificate now. Thank you, all the departments in New York City that have been working from home, all the paperwork that Stella had to get together. And it's a milestone for us, because it's important. We always, we say we're a woman-owned company, but there's a certification process that if you're willing to go through all the hoops, you can get. It was just really difficult, and we finally got there. So thank you. That's some of our news from Adafruit. Some more time travel. We hit 21,000 people on Discord, and one of the reasons we hit 21,000 people is because we bring folks together. We have a good code of conduct, and I will say this: you are responsible for the community that you maintain.
That's right.
And a lot of people say, "Oh no, you're not." Like Facebook,
and it requires active work. Yeah, it's not easy.
Like Facebook is a terrible place to go to, because they just say, "Well, we're not responsible." No, you are. You are responsible. We all have to start to get used to it. You're responsible for the communities you maintain, and that is found by Lois and back and some other things.
Outdoor restaurants.
Executive order got signed, making Juneteenth a holiday. The daily videos that Cuomo, the governor of New York, is doing, that'll be coming to conclusion soon. They'll only be as needed. And I wanted to just share some of these things. This is what it's been looking like the last few days here in New York. Keep in mind, it was in the hundreds. Keep in mind, we were hitting thousands in the country, still are. This is what New York looks like.
Yeah, it took a long time.
It went up.
And the went up was so fast.
And we went from the worst infection rate to the best.
That's always New York. That's the New York thing.
Yeah.
We're the worst, but then we're the best.
That, you know what, that might be like, what's your neon sign? We're the worst, but then we become the best.
Yeah.
So hopefully people will see that it is possible, but you have to wear a mask. You have to have a lot of protocols, but you can do it, and you can recoup, and you can thrive. It's a lot of work.
I tell you, New Yorkers, we like to work, we like to hang out, we like to drink, we like to eat. We want to go back to having our businesses open. We love our local businesses and our restaurants and our bars, and it's like we will figure out a way to make this work out.
Yeah.
So that we can keep as many businesses open, keep as many people employed, keep the New York that we know, we'll move forward, but bring as many people with us as possible.
Yeah. Okay. So next up on time travel, we did a little bit of a video that you did. This was the BLE desktop, so take it away past you.
Okay, go me.
What is this?
Hey there. Well, I'm testing out some of Dan Halbert's new code that ports our Adafruit CircuitPython Bluetooth libraries, Adafruit BLE and BLE.io, to native Python on the desktop. So this is my Windows computer with a BLE dongle in it, a Bluetooth dongle, and it's controlling this Bluetooth light bulb using the same exact code that we would use in a CircuitPython board, which is really exciting because it means we now have a cross-platform way to talk to BLE devices. This is something of a holy grail for Python desktop wireless development. It's been very difficult, but Dan Halbert was able to do it, and now I'm reviewing this PR.
Write once, Python everywhere. Cool. And there's still more time travel. Lady Ada is a judge for Coolest Projects. This is a big effort with Raspberry Pi and more.
Yay.
Here is a video from Coolest Projects to tell you how to enter and more, and then on the other side I'll display the rules and some of the things from the website.
Hi, I'm Bella, and today I wanted to tell you about how you can get involved in Coolest Projects online. Going online means we can share all the awesome projects we've been working on with people from all around the world, all from the comfort of our own homes. First, you need to pick the category you think your project is most suitable for. You can find a breakdown of all the categories on the Coolest Projects website. Your creation doesn't even need to be finished for it to be part of the online showcase. All you need is a great idea. Before you register, you'll need to either add your Scratch project to our Scratch Studio or upload a 2-minute video to YouTube for all the other categories, answering 3 important questions about your piece and shows all the code you've used. To show us your code, you need to record your screen so that our judges can see the code you've been working on. If you don't know how to do this, check out the guidelines on our website for more help. Once you've saved your Scratch project to the studio or uploaded your 2-minute video, visit coolestprojects.org to register your project. You must be 13 or over to complete the form, so ask a parent or guardian to help if you're a member. I can't wait to see all the awesome projects we will upload to Coolest Projects online. Have fun!
And Lady Ada will be a judge, so you know
Yeah.
we only sign up for things
They're cool.
that'll be good.
This is the coolest.
So if you know a person who's created something digital, they encourage them to register at Coolest Projects, be it animation, a website, game, app, robot, or anything else they built with technology. Can be registered with the following categories: hardware, Scratch, mobile apps, website, games, advanced programming. Read the guide on how to enter. Projects need to be registered by June 28th. And people under 16 need a parent or guardian to help them out. So check out that and more. Okay, moving right along. We are an open source hardware company.
Heck yeah.
We're still in the, I guess in the race car world, they call it pole position.
Beep.
Yeah, so,
Where am I driving?
well, we have the most certified open source hardware right now.
Yeah.
And, I'm gonna do a little bit of combining here.
What?
I'm gonna do some combining.
Okay.
So, not only is Adafruit the most certified open source hardware company,
Most.
but it's also a certified minority-owned woman company.
Look at all these certifications happening.
Look at this, certified.
Astonishing.
So, anyways, I think there's something special about when you bring a diverse group of people together and make hardware, because what do you get?
Cool stuff.
You get rainbows, and you get the most hardware.
That's
So,
right.
speaking of, we also have 2,220 guides.
Yes.
And on the big board this week, Lady Ada.
Oh, thank you for pulling it up.
Yep.
Okay, we've got Kattni wrote a guide for the 9DOF ST sensor breakouts and Featherwing multiple. And she did a wonderful job showing how to get started in both Arduino and CircuitPython or Raspberry Pi to get 9 degrees of data out, which is really great if you want to do like motion capture orientation sensing. We have that RGB matrix slot machine project from Noah and Pedro using code from Jepler. It's got a really cool spring 3D printed print-in-place handle. Brian wrote a wonderful guide for a new product, the Sensorion SHTC3. It's a high precision humidity and temperature sensor. Dylan wanted to do a project for his bicycle. He made an automatic brake light using a circuit playground that detects when you've stopped your bike because the acceleration changes, and it lights up the LEDs red. Erin made a no solder papercraft crystal light strand. So she's trying to get her lady friends to build more electronics, and they love LEDs and crafting. So she's like, I want to do more crafting projects to get them inspired. So you can do them over Zoom calls. Melissa wrote up a guide for the 2.23-inch monochrome OLED bonnet. Tim C. wrote a great tutorial on how to write your first tile map game with CircuitPython, how to do camera control, how to have sprites, have animations, have things move, keep track of game state. It's basically like writing your first game in Python, and then you get to put it on hardware. And John Park, a couple weeks ago, wrote up a itsy bitsy mix up with the Kibo from Pimeroni that is usually on a Raspberry Pi Linux board. Instead, he's controlling it with CircuitPython and an itsy bitsy M4.
Okay.
And that's the guides.
We'll have more guides next week. Okay, some Made in New York City factory footage. Take it away. I'll narrate some of it.
Beautiful.
And that is also back up and running. We're getting there.
And we're making crickets.
We're making crickets. So expect
crickets?
more things in stock. Here's some beautiful, amazing boards, fresh.
Also, selective. Look, we have selective on the Ethernet jack.
Yeah. And then next up, people were asking, there's a blog post with our protecting your privacy for a link to this app if you want to see it. But
these are cool apps, yeah.
Yeah, what this does is just blurs out the faces while you take video.
Okay, let me get serious.
Have our own version of a contact tracer app, but we call it Pathfinder because of the way the App Store works. We're still trying to get it approved. But you can see there's, this is our route where we've been going with the protest. There's 1s and 2, and it's been phenomenal. There is people out. There's more people wearing masks than when you walk through the village and people having brunch.
That's true.
We're out there showing our support. We have PPE when folks need it. They have fantastic organization. So we've been able to participate. A lot of our team members are out there as well. We want to support them. We went by Stonewall. That was earlier in the week. And there's a lot of beautiful street art around New York City right now. Businesses are changing their outside to show their support. These are commissioned local artists, and they want to make sure here's important messages. So check those out. And then, of course, it wouldn't be Made in New York City factory footage without the unending construction across the street of Adafruit. It is almost 24/7. I don't think they are aware of the things that have been going on in the world for the last 3 months. It is loud. It is forever. It is the most consistent thing.
I think it's like these concrete trucks just coming in, dumping concrete.
If someone said, what's the most consistent thing in your life, I would say this construction.
For sure.
Yeah, so we'll see if they raise our rent later on when our lease is up, if this thing is built or not. Okay, so 3D printing. Now Pedro have been printing up a bunch of stuff. We have 2 videos, and we're going to play these back to back. The first one is Slot Machine. The other one is a really cool Star Wars print.
All right.
So take it away, Now
Screw
Pedro.
it away.
We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Hey, what's up folks? In this project, we're building a slot machine with an RGB matrix. This features emojis from Adafruit and works just like the fruit style slot machine. The handle is 3D printed and features a print-in-place spring-loaded mechanism. It actuates a small push button and triggers animations that look a lot like a slot machine. The display is powered by an Adafruit feather in the RGB matrix feather wing. It also has a speaker and amp for playing back MP3s. The feather wing is designed to be modular and snap fits on the back of the RGB matrix. Black LED acrylic is used to diffuse the LEDs that are otherwise harsh and overexposed. This material features a matte finish and has the ability to transmit any color of light. This makes it perfect for bringing out the vibrance in the colors of the LEDs. We designed the 3D printed frame with a slot on the side so it's easy to insert a sheet of black LED acrylic. Using CircuitPython, you can quickly show text, bitmaps, and animations on a number of different RGB matrices. The code was written by Jeff Epler and it uses the new RGB matrix library for CircuitPython. It's designed to work with the 64x32 RGB matrices. The code is available on GitHub. You can get the parts to build this project, links are in the description and listed in the Learn Guide. The frame and mounts are 3D printed using PLA filament and use minimal support material. The RGB matrix feather wing comes with all of the necessary headers and power connectors. In this project, the Feather M4 is stacked on top of the feather wing. Be sure to check out the Learn Guide for a full step-by-step tutorial on building this project. So if you're looking to build a sign or even a video wall, definitely check this out. Thanks so much for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Alright, and don't forget 3D Hangouts every single Wednesday. And if you watch Show and Tell, you'll hear Mark mention it. Learned a bunch from Noah and Pedro, was able to make projects. It's a learning and teaching video series. Watch it every Wednesday. Okay, it's time. Everyone's favorite segment.
Yeah.
DigiKey
Presents.
and Adafruit bring you It's now time for Ion MPI.
That's right. And this one is for all the people who are doing CNC builds, who are like, how come you don't cover any motor drivers on Ion MPI? Yeah. Well, today we're going to take a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
With these stepper drivers.
And we're going to keep with the pyramid theme.
That's right.
Which company is this and what do they make?
This is Trinamic, and they're a German motor control company that they make really high quality stepper motor drivers. And one of the things that they're kind of famous for is their stepper drivers are really silent. They figured out a way to micro step motors so you don't get that annoying squeak that most people are used to with stepper motors, and we'll show off a demo. So the chip today is the Trinamic TMC 2226. It just came out, and it's an HT-SOP shaped 28-pin stepper motor driver. It drives one stepper motor. What's really cool is it can drive a stepper motor at 2.4 amp peak, 2 amp RMS continuous, which is more than the previous models and more than most stepper drivers. So if you wanted to upgrade your CNC build to handle a little bit more current, this is your motor driver. Okay, so first thing, if you open up the datasheet, they've got this awesome logo. It's like a stepper motor, but it's a speaker and then a big no sign.
No making noise.
This is the big thing. The big thing is that they're called like silent steppers. This is what they're good at, and it's people often upgrade their lower cost or not as high quality stepper motor drivers, choose trinamic drivers because like CNC board machines and 3D printers can have pretty noisy stepper drivers if they're not running this silent technology. Okay, so stepper drivers, as I was doing this, actually was researching stepper drivers, and this is all the pins on the chip. There's a lot of power and ground pins. There's 28 pins. It looks so scary, but it's not so bad. And there's basically 3 ways to drive it. And the first one is the simplest, kind of the legacy style, where you give it power and ground, you have a couple capacitors, and then there's 2 pins that set the micro stepping, so you can set it to be like, I think 1/8, 1/16. Let me look it up because I want to make sure I get this right. 1/8 micro stepping, 1/16, 1/32, 1/64. So you can do that just by setting these 2 pins, which are labeled here MS1, MS2, and then you have step and dur. And when dur is high, the stepper always goes in one direction, and then you drop the dur pin low, it goes in the other direction. And then every time the step pin toggles, the stepper motor steps in one direction. So it's very simple. It can be driven by any microcomputer, microcontroller. It's extremely easy. You can use 3 or 5 volt logic. And then the motor, you give it, I think, up to like 36 volts. Okay, so that's like the simplest way. But there's also this like other kind of interesting way to drive it. So up top you see there's the SD step direction, and then there's stepper motor, and you just need some sense resistors. But they also have a UART interface, which is kind of interesting because it lets you control up to 4 of these TMC steppers in a more advanced fashion by sending it like these like CRC UART packets, and it uses a 1 bidirectional, so like half duplex UART. You can actually also tell it when it's like, okay, want to get started quickly, you can download these KiCad files, and it's rare. Usually you get like a PDF, or maybe you'll get like OrCAD or Altium. They usually don't use an open source tool, but I think makers will really like this. If you use KiCad, it's open source schematic capture and layout software. So you can see here, this is a pretty easy board to put together. And I have a demo. Maybe I thought we'd
we have a demo and we have a video. So let's look at the demo and then we'll play a video.
Yeah, so I thought I'd show the chip and then I'll show the demo. So I got some of these chips. So the secret of this package is it's got this huge ground plane on the bottom here that's used for heat sinking. So on my prototype, I don't have a pad on that, so I can't overdrive this motor, but that's what lets you do that, high current 2.4 amp peak per coil winding. But it's not a very big chip. It's easy to pick in place. You can even hand solder it. So this morning I soldered it onto one of our TSOP 28 breakouts, and I have it hooked up here to just a Metro, and this is that step direction interface. So I have pin 3 connected to direction and pin 2 connected to step, and I'm just having it toggle. So let me turn it on, and you can see this is just smoothly turning. This stepper motor is really easy to get started, and it's really, really quiet. This is doing, I think, 1/8 micro stepping, and like you can't hear it at all. It's super quiet. So this, I think, would be a great upgrade to a 3D printer project, or a CNC, robot, or a drawing robot, anything that uses stepper motors, especially when you need a lot of torque, you need a lot of current. And the price is the same as other stepper drivers, about $1.50, $1.60 in quantity from DigiKey.
Okay, and let's play a little bit of video. So it's a couple minutes, and we'll see you on the other side and tell you where to get it on DigiKey.
Okay.
Spread Cycle is Trinamic's advanced chopper mode that gives you best performance and smoothest motor operation with every step of your target current sine waveform, especially during zero crossing. This is done by Trinamic's patented mixed decay mode, where every fast decay phase gets adapted with every chopper cycle. Stealth Chop is Trinamic's new patented, one-of-its-kind voltage-controlled mode, which enables absolute quiet stepper motor control in low and medium velocity ranges with maximum torque. On top of that, the movement of the motor is even more smooth than with spread cycle and a microstep resolution of 256. To give best performance at any velocity, Trinamic Stealth Chop drivers allow automatic switching between Stealth Chop and spread cycle. This is done by setting a velocity threshold in one of its registers. The difference here is that current control chopper modes like spread cycle always reacts to the coil current measurement in a cycle-by-cycle base. This results in the typical stepper motor noise or even hissing or chirping. Stealth Chop is using a fixed frequency, which leads to absolute quiet stepper motor operation. Stealth Chop is driving a clean sine wave current into the motor coils without adapting the frequency every chopper cycle. This leads to less current ripple and an incredible smooth run of the motor. The first time I saw Stealth Chop in the development, I couldn't believe that this actually is a stepper motor. You see on the tablet 4 different microstep resolutions I used for this video. Full step, common 16 times microstepping, for many companies still state of the art, spread cycle with 256 microsteps, and Stealth Chop. I will go through each mode on the tablet now. Starting with full stepping and a velocity of around 100 RPM, you clearly hear the audible noise. Switching to 16 times microstepping already reduces the noise a lot. Switching to 256 microsteps and Trinamic spread cycle technology reduces audible noise dramatically and makes the movement much smoother. Switching to Stealth Chop makes the movement even smoother and the motor is completely silent. We can increase the velocity here to around 300, but that's not the limit.
Okay, and here's where to get it on DigiKey, and as always we have the product
and the short URL
ID and the short URL.
Yep. So they DigiKey looks like they got a couple reels of this, and I bought like the first 5. Like this is a super hot new product. I mean, this was just put in this DigiKey shop like 2 or 3 days ago. But I know people who are always looking for the next big upgrade for their CNC project, so I thought I would get this out there. You can pick up the chips at DigiKey. Just search for TMC2226 or go to that short URL and check it out. And then, of course, download the KiCad files so you can get started immediately on upgrading your CNC bot.
And that's all on NPI this week.
On NPI.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to remind everyone, we are shipping safe and smart. We're shipping your orders. We thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. That's a pre-COVID photo. So is this one. And with that, it is time for some new products. Are we
That's
ready
right.
Ready to do this?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it.
New.
All right, new products. So we are back in manufacturing, and
Yay.
the last quarter of last year, we did our buy one give one with Black Girls Code. Good timing. Lots of people are looking ways to support Black Girls Code right now. We already had this lined up from our previous years of partnership, and thank you DigiKey for helping out with this. But when you buy one on adafruit.com/blackgirlscode, we send one to Black Girls Code. It's that easy. There's nothing else. If you're going to buy a Circuit Playground Express anyways, pick one up there and one goes to Black Girls Code. It's that easy. If you buy If you buy 5, they get 5. If you buy 10, they get 10. Does it cost any extra?
No.
And that's the way we did it. So a lot of people, they're just like, oh, I'm going to pick up a Circuit Playground Express. And, oh, I can just, if I buy one in this section of the website, then Black Girls Code gets one. So it's a way, it's a way for you to do something nice and a way for Black Girls Code. Fantastic organization.
And we do the sending for you. You don't even have to send it.
You don't do anything. Okay.
So easy.
First up.
Okay. We have, people really love our DE9, DB9 breakout boards, so we added another one. We have one with terminal blocks. This one has these like really nice little push connectors to make it very slim but easy to connect to breakout board. So these are DE9s, but they're often called DB9s, so I call them both. We have both the socket style and the plug type, and I'll show them on the overhead.
Do you want me to show the other one before I go to the overhead?
No, because it's a little different.
Oh,
I want to show these two. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so this is what I got. So we've got the socket and the plug, and then of course you can plug them into each other if you so wish. But usually you have like a serial port cable or like one of the matching cables that are off the shelf, and they're good for a couple hundred feet sometimes, depending on the kind of signals you're sending. And then this just breaks out every pin for you, and these are little spring connectors. So you see here I can pull it back with my fingernail, or you can use like a screwdriver, and then you have a wire. You put the wire in, and then you let go, and the wire is like super solid. So you don't need a screwdriver. You don't need like a terminal block, sit there and screw it on or to remove it. You want to remove it, you just pull it back again, and you pull the wire out. So it's a nice solid connection. You don't need any special tools. If you have a fingernail, you can use a thin screwdriver or a pen. There's even a little divot here to make it easy to do the pulling back. So again, both styles, break it out. People are using these all the time. You're connecting to like old equipment, or you just want to reuse these old 9-pin D-sub cables. This is the best way to do it. Okay.
Next up,
we also have basically the same thing, but like Ethernet. Again, you've got these nice little spring contacts. This one, it only comes in the socket style, because usually you use it with an Ethernet cable. So again, I will show it on the overhead, the demo. So it has the standard Ethernet, Cat 5, Cat 6 connector. And then on the back, you've got these spring plug terminal blocks. So you pull back on the orange bit, you stick your wire in, and then you let go, and the wire is super, super solid without needing tools. Now we're on to the breakouts. Okay, so the first breakout I've got here, hold on, I gotta get my demo. It's hooked between this cable. Okay, it's free now. We've got this LSM9DS1 breakout board that's now available in a Stemma QT format, 1 inch by 0.7 inch. We're still going to stock the older LSM9DS1 breakout, but there's enough people who are like, well, I wanted a Stemma QT version for easy plug and play. You have these two sockets on the side that provide I2C. You have two mounting holes, and but we break out basically every pin, so you can use I2C or SPI for the LSM9DS1. So let's show this on the overhead. I've got it hooked up to my STM32F405 Feather. And I've got on this OLED, I've got accelerometer. Hold on, let me autofocus. We got accelerometer, magnetometer, and gyroscope data. So you get all 9 degrees of freedom out of one chip. So it's very handy. People really like the LSM9DS1. It's nice and stable. You see when I put it down, the gyroscope is zeroed out. And the accelerometer and magnetometer data is nice and stable. So I like the LSM9DS1. It's handy. It's all in one chip. So check it out. We've already got code for Arduino and CircuitPython and Python for it. So if you want to use this with any microcontroller or microcomputer, it will be very easy to do so.
Okay, and the star of the show tonight, besides y'all, the community, the customers out there, everyone who's supporting each other, and also who's trying to make a difference. Besides all that, we also got this product.
Yes, we have the SHT C3, and then we made this in a Stemma QT format with a nice little cutout. It's a very simple but effective humidity and temperature sensor. It's got 2% relative humidity accuracy and 0.2 degrees centigrades, which is quite good. Usually you don't get good temperature accuracy with humidity sensors. Usually it's kind of like iffy, but this one you get good both, and it's very simple. It's the chip only has 4 pins. We just do the level conversion for you. Again, we've got Arduino and CircuitPython code, and you can see here it's you can get the temperature and humidity. If I breathe on it, it reacts nice and fast to the breath, which is both warm and humid. And it's very inexpensive. You can just plug and play it onto any board that has a Stemma QT connector, or this Featherwing prototype, which has one too, and get temperature and humidity data out.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, and with that, there's new products.
That's new product.
Okay, we're gonna do a couple more things, and then we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Because we have a little bit of top secret. We're gonna answer your questions. We're gonna play the circuit Python and hardware video.
Yeah.
But let's first remind folks, we have 21,000 people in Discord. You're over there now.
Join.
Start loading up your questions. Adafruit.it/Discord. While you're getting ready over there, we're gonna do some top secret. What do you got?
Okay, I got a new prototype that I just put together. It's for this new sensor, so you want to go to the overhead. And it's the AS7341 multispectral chips. This chip has like 11 channel, like from near IR to RGB, spectrum IR diodes, LED PN diodes that are used to sense light coming from the outside. There's a little port here. So you can use this as a very low-cost spectrometer. It only does, again, 11 bins, but that's still pretty cool. And it's, again, very simple. It uses I2C, just needs a regulator and some parts. And I got like a cool white LED I might solder on here to illuminate things, so you can maybe use that to detect. Normally we only have RGB sensors when doing color detection because humans only have RGB, and so that's good enough. But this is kind of neat because it can do like multiple different bins. So I think it's a pretty cool sensor from AMS. So I made a breakout for it.
Okay, back in the vault. All right, we're going to do some questions now. There's a couple lined up. Going to get to them right now.
Yeah.
So first up, are those all-in-one demos that detect sensor, or does Lamore switch sketches super fast or some other sleight of hand?
It detects what chip it is found, and so it changes the output based on it.
Okay.
So I set that up before the show.
Is there a way to look at all the Stemma Qt boards like Adafruit/Feather for feathers? Sort of. There is github.com/awesome Adafruit/awesome-stemma.
Yeah.
So we have a list of all of them. But
in the shop, we also have a category.
In the shop, we do have a category. You just have to go to the categories and hit Stemma.
Yeah.
And be able to find those. But we'll also continue to have, because we're getting just like we started with Feather, and then we eventually added Adafruit.com/Feather, and then you can go with the Feather wings. We'll have even a more detailed section, but the category right now has all of those.
Yes.
Someone had asked earlier, and I feel like it's a trick question. They wanted to know what would have a bigger impact: free energy, unlimited free energy, or ability to change the mass of objects at a large practical scale.
I'll let you answer that.
I'm going to say that's the same, because if you can change the mass of something at a big scale, you're basically using energy, because energy and mass are interchangeable.
Yeah, you can maybe convert the mass.
Yeah, so I feel like both of those things would have a big impact. But, you don't get something for nothing. Maybe the origin of the universe you do, but we're not there right now. We're a couple seconds later in the big cosmic scale things.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to get something, energy seems more useful, generally speaking, than just mass. But again, they're so interchangeable. They're just different states of it's like you want ice or water. It's like, well, okay. Will there be a Belio guide, learning guide for BLE on Windows?
We haven't even merged it in yet, so after it's merged in, we'll probably do a guide.
Yeah. Okay. Any overlap into IR or UV? I guess that was for.
It's not out yet. Don't ask me.
Oh yeah.
You can look up the data sheet if you care so much.
Okay. Let's see. People like it's cool chip. Oh yeah, the internet is kind of broken. By the way, all there is denial of service attacks. And if you're wondering why there's denial of service attacks, because they're all practicing before the election, in case you're wondering what's happening.
Yeah.
There's no goal. It's just practice.
Yeah.
Just watch out.
Yeah.
Hey everybody. Speaking of, if you work for a company, email the management. If you are the management, you can just do this. But email the management and say, what would it take to have a paid day off for voting? In the U.S., let me break it to my foreign friends out there. We don't have the day off in the U.S. It doesn't work like that here.
Yeah.
We have a ways to go for that. But, in the U.S., if you're someone who works at a company, say, hey, what would it take? Is there a metric we can hit? Is there a sales goal? Is there anything we could do to make this happen? Because voting is really difficult for a lot of people when they have a full-time job. And yes, some states are supposed to allow certain things, but, it's something that could be really useful.
Yeah.
Not just for now, but for the future. So anyways, Okay, how do you program the bootloader and CircuitPython on the production line for the NRF 52840 Feather Express?
We use our Adafruit DAP library in Arduino in the chip, and we have the files on SD card, and we use that to burn it on for standalone production burning.
All right. Let's see. Convert the mass of carbon and energy by taking it. Yeah, okay. That's the way to do it. Folks have a Adafruit habit. Yes. It's okay to have this habit.
Yes, we allow it.
Yeah, it's good. There is no cure besides more Adafruit. Okay. I think that's going to be it for now. If there's other questions, hang out in the chat. But with that, we're going to play the Python on Hardware news, and then on the other side, we're going to say goodbye for the night. So stick around. We'll be back in about 10 minutes altogether. That's Python on Hardware news. So see you in a few minutes.
It's that time again. This is Katney with your weekly Python on Hardware news. Every week, we put together the Python for Makecode and Adafruit. The words feel unwelcome. The terms master and slave have been replaced with terms list. We will continue to address this until the process is completed as a part of our continued efforts to fight against racism and inequality. For more information and a list of regularly updated resources, visit adafruit.com/Black Lives Matter. The Python Software Foundation stated this month, "The time for silence is long past. The Python Software Foundation stands in solidarity with the Black community. Black Lives Matter." The Python community has a long history of inclusion and support. See the post by the PSF on Twitter. Chrome developer Una Kravitz asked GitHub to follow Google in its move to use the term main instead of master for the default branch in GitHub last week. GitHub CEO Nat Friedman answered promptly on June 12th, revealing that the company was already working on the issue. GitHub lending its backing to this movement effectively ensures the term will be removed across millions of projects. Adafruit is working with the team to open safely as New York City begins to lift COVID-19 restrictions. We continue to follow the same safety protocols we have been since the beginning, and will continue to do so. At this time, regular non-COVID related orders are shipping, but expect delays as we are still at a limited capacity. As manufacturing was interrupted, some items may be out of stock. Please look to Adafruit resellers to obtain these items more quickly. In the US, DigiKey is suggested. Visit adafruit.com/opensafely for details. CircuitPython 5.4.0 Beta 1 has been released. This release adds basic lower power support when in time.sleep. The lower power work changed timekeeping and may have introduced bugs. Please continue to use 5.3.0 if you need a stable version of CircuitPython. New features and improvements since the last release include ESP32S2 support, the new CountIO module, the new VectorIO module, native module docs are now Python stubs, a lengthy list of bug fixes, 2 new translations, and various translation updates. To try it out, visit circuitpython.org/downloads and download the latest unstable version for your board. This week, from the desk of Lady Ada, CircuitPython Bluetooth BLE library support is now available for desktop Python. Lady Ada has been trying out the new BLE CircuitPython library support for desktop. Having easy cross-platform Python support for wireless BLE has been a challenge for many years. Thanks to Dan Halbert's great work on the CircuitPython BLE.io and Python Bleak library, we now have many Adafruit CircuitPython BLE examples working on desktop Python. Finally, heart rate monitors, bite cadence sensors, thermometers, and more can be connected to Python. More available on the Adafruit YouTube or the Adafruit blog. GeekMom Projects presents a stunning new wearable, a NeoPixel bracelet powered by an Adafruit Gemma M0 using CircuitPython. The electronics are cast in resin from a mold obtained on Amazon. GeekMom Projects writes, "Still experimenting with blending LED colors in semi-translucent resin. Now trying the technique in wearables, of course. The cuff bracelet contains 2 side-emitting LED strips facing opposite directions. Check it out at GeekMom Projects Twitter." In this week's CircuitPython Deep Dive livestream, Scott streamed a recap of his work on ESP32S2. Check out the latest video and past videos at adafru.it/deepdive. Nina Zakarenko streamed the Python T community chat with guest Scott. They talked about electioncal.us, a tool for sharing voting information and more. View it at twitch.tv/nnjaio. The CircuitPython plugin for the Atom editor has been updated with some awesome new features. Check out a write-up at josephbanks.me or download the Language CircuitPython plugin for Atom to give it a try. Cedar Grove Studios posts the final repair of a damaged heirloom clock using the original acoustic whistles and chime. Sound components are activated by servos and a solenoid. It uses an Adafruit Cricket, Pi badge, RTC Featherwing, and custom I2C host PCB from Oshpark. Coding is done with CircuitPython. Video available at Cedar Grove YouTube. Look for an upcoming Adafruit Learning System guide on using CircuitPython with large LED matrix displays for use as graphic signs. Video available on the Adafruit Twitter. Build a rotating platform controlled with an ESP32 running MicroPython in this video from Lemariva Tech on YouTube. Code is available on GitHub. Jensen posts to Twitter a version of a Tamagotchi using an Adafruit Metro M4 board with a connected LCD display. All logic and menu systems, text typing, etc. are custom coded in CircuitPython. Leo Fabi Tech posts to Twitter testing a robot using CircuitPython on a Metro M0 Express in preparation for a workshop. Win at Scrabble using a Raspberry Pi with a display and camera module in this Python tutorial from Discover Coding and Raspberry Pi on YouTube. The Python dev posts to Twitter a print-your-own-adventure game with a thermal printer, Raspberry Pi, arcade buttons, and CircuitPython. In another episode of Microcontrollers with King or North, learn about using subroutines in CircuitPython and Arduino, available on YouTube. This is a rover able to deliver supplies to COVID-19 patients while minimizing infection risk. It uses a Raspberry Pi Zero in conjunction with a Balena Fin and a Pi camera. The Pi runs a web server via the Python library Flask, which serves a web page and allows for the rover to be remotely controlled, including the use of an Adafruit PCA 9685 library. Details available on hackster.io. Learn about a LoRaWAN node using MicroPython in this post on hackster.io. Learn about Home Assistant, the Python IoT hub, from this write-up on lwn.net. Learn how to use an ESP32 MicroPython web server providing sensor data via a web page in this tutorial on howtoelectronics.com. Beautiful and easy plotting in Python, pandas plus bokeh. Learn how to use a single line of code to create an interactive plot from pandas data frame to bokeh in this article on towarddataScience.com. On the Real Python podcast this week, web scraping in Python, tools, techniques, and legality. Kimberly Fessel discusses her excellent tutorial created for PyCon 2020 online titled It's Officially Legal, So Let's Scrape the Web. Check it out at realpython.com/podcasts. The number of CircuitPython-supported microcontrollers in single-board computers grows every week. There were 6 new boards added this week, including the Saula 1 with more room and the Fluff M0. Are you interested in adding a new board to CircuitPython? Check out the Adafruit Learn System for a series of guides about getting your board added to CircuitPython and circuitpython.org. There were 5 new Python on hardware-related guides in the Adafruit Learn System this week, including learn how to create your first tile map game with CircuitPython, including creating and modifying bitmap images for the game, in this guide from Tim C. Use the Itsy Bitsy and CircuitPython as a custom USB mechanical keypad with the Pimoroni Keybow, a 12 mechanical key switch USB HID keyboard controller designed to work with the Raspberry Pi, in this guide from John Park. Build a simple guitar tuner using CircuitPython and the Adafruit Pi Portal with a custom 3D printed case, in this guide from Noah and Pedro and Liz Clark. The current number of CircuitPython libraries is 260. This includes both the Adafruit CircuitPython libraries and the CircuitPython community libraries. There's one new library this week, Adafruit CircuitPython SHTC3. There are also a number of updated libraries. As always, visit circuitpython.org/libraries to download the latest Adafruit CircuitPython bundle. Included in this week's updates from the CircuitPython team, Dan finished the initial version of the Adafruit_Blinka_BLEIO library, which lets you use CircuitPython BLE code on host computers like the rest of the Blinka library. The same program that runs on CircuitPython on our BLE-capable boards now runs without change on Linux and Windows. He's testing with a heart rate monitor, barbecue thermometer, a BLE light bulb, and other such devices. There are still some stumbling blocks for Mac OS, and there are some limitations in the current implementation of Bleak, the underlying library he's using, that prevent using Adafruit services. We're looking into overcoming these issues. Nevertheless, Bleak has worked out quite well so far, and it is impressive how it supports such disparate platforms with a single clean API. Jeff continues work on high-performance SD card interface on the Grand Central with SAMD51. This is how his improvised setup looks right now. The overall structure of the code is in place, but it doesn't work yet. The Grand Central board is trying to communicate with the card to retrieve the card ID, but nothing is received in return. Investigation continues, and the vital clue is sure to turn up soon. Melissa's been focusing on Display I/O once again. She has been going through each of the displays and making sure they all work, as well as adding features such as basic backlight control and display rotation. This will be really useful for making use of the displays that are designed specifically for the Raspberry Pi and other boards with similar 40-pin connectors. FlaskCon is a community-driven Flask event being held July 4th and 5th. Flask is a micro-web framework written in Python. Call for papers is currently open. Visit flaskcon.com for more information. Translations make the project more accessible. Project Weblate, we're making it even easier. You can create a new account just for Weblate or sign in using other sites such as GitHub, Google, or Facebook. If you write another language, visit adafru.it/translatecp, sign in, and start translating. Looking for more Python on hardware all week? Join the Adafruit community on Discord and check out the Help with CircuitPython and CircuitPython channels. We're over 21,000 strong and continuing to grow. You'll find a supportive, positive community filled with like-minded folks. Join at adafru.it/discord. And that is your Python on hardware news for this week. Visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to the newsletter or tune in again next week.
All right, and that's Python on hardware news this week. Thank you so much, Kattni. I'm caught up, ready to go, and I'm looking forward to being able to participate and contribute in the newsletter again. Just got to focus on some other stuff for now. But luckily, the team can carry.
They're doing a good job.
They can carry on the Blinka. Okay, so that's our show tonight, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone in chat. Sorry about the internet infrastructure collapsing.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Enjoy it while you can.
But you know, sometimes with the way video works with some of these streaming services, is you can watch it later. And the live streaming has a lower quality version, but when you watch it later, it's a high quality version. That usually happens. Special thanks to Takara, who's behind the scenes in the chat.
Takara.
Thank you, Takara. Also, thank you, Takara, for all the work that you've been doing, bringing people together, getting our voices out, and also supporting all of the customers and all the people here during the chats almost every week. Takara's usually on the later shifts.
Okay.
We'll see everybody next week at 8 p.m. for Ask an Engineer, 7 p.m. for Show and Tell. We'll see everybody next week, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm
don't
trying
forget to watch JP's workshop tomorrow.
JP workshop tomorrow, and don't forget, folks.
Scott might be streaming on Friday.
Fridays, orders might not go out till Monday because it's June.
That's right.
So, all right, we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Here is your moment of Zener.